So we're gonna do Joe and then
me. Okay, perfect.
okay. Excellent. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Emilia Gonzalez Avalos. I'm executive director with Unidos, and we're one of the members of Eyes Out Minnesota. And we're very grateful for all of you who are here, including all the amazing business owners and business partners in this room. And we're gladly launching the week of shopping local for truth and freedom, because the small businesses are the backbone of our communities. They are where people find a lot of their jobs first, where families build stability, where culture and trust live on our main streets and commercial corridors. When small businesses are strong, our communities are strong. But right now, many of our local businesses, especially immigrant-owned businesses, are under real pressure. Aggressive immigration enforcement, uncertainty, and fear don't just harm individuals. They disrupt entire local economies. Customers stay home, workers are afraid to show up, owners are forced to make impossible choices. And this hurts all of us. So shopping local for truth and freedom is about saying clearly and publicly, our local economy should not be built on fear. This week is about supporting small businesses that believe in dignity, fairness, and constitutional rights. It's about keeping dollars circulating locally. It's about shopping up as customers, neighbors, and allies. It's about drawing a line when they say our communities work better when everyone can work, live, and contribute without intimidation. In Minnesota, business owners employ tens of thousands of workers, anchor commercial corridors, and keep neighborhoods alive. When enforcement actions target workplaces or create fear around them, the damage is immediate. Lost income, lost jobs, and long-term instability that take years to undo. So community organizing teaches us something important. Power is not just built at the ballot box or at the Capitol. It's built in everyday places like shops, restaurants, and markets. Economic participation is civic participation. And where you spend your money, where you spend your money is one way we show what kind of community we want to live in. So Shop Local for Truth and Freedom is also about solidarity. No single business, worker, or community should face this pressure alone. When businesses stand together, when consumers show up intentionally, when neighbors spread the word, fear loses its grip. Collective action creates protection. And so over the next week, we're asking people to do simple but meaningful things. Shop local. Tip well. Tip well. Share these businesses with your networks and talk openly about why this matters. Support businesses that support their workers. Support communities that refuse to be divided. This is how we defend our local economy. This is how we protect our neighbors. And this is how we remind ourselves that our communities are stronger than fear. So thank you for being part of Shop Local for Truth and Freedom and for choosing solidarity, dignity, and local power. And without further ado, I want to introduce our host of this press conference, one of the owners of Urban Growler, Jill Pavlock.
Thank you so much. On behalf of the Urban Growler team, we are honored to host the many small businesses and community members here today, and grateful for the spotlight on small businesses during such a heavy and heartbreaking time. Small businesses are the heartbeat of our community. They're where people gather, connect, and look out for one another. At our core, we believe in bringing people together and creating spaces where everyone belongs. When you choose to support small businesses, you're not just keeping doors open, you're making it possible for us to show up for our neighbors, whether that's helping deliver groceries, raising funds, or supporting families impacted by what's happening all around us. That support is what allows small businesses everywhere to keep showing up for our communities and that's how communities stay strong.
Hi everyone, I'm Alex West Steinman. I'm the co-founder and CEO of The Coven. We're a co-working space designed for belonging. Thanks. I'm here as a business owner with a location on Eat Street, just blocks from where Alex Preddy and a mile from where Renee Good was murdered. We're here because small businesses are the backbone of Minnesota's neighborhoods, economy, and culture. And right now, federal immigration enforcement is threatening the very lifeblood of our communities, creating fear, instability, and real economic harm. This past week, I've been checking on all of our small business owners on Eat Street. Even though we're in pain emotionally and financially, we find ourselves gathering together as we share how we keep showing up for our community, by feeding people, by offering space to work or rest, by providing shelter from armed ICE agents. Lou Ross from staff meeting hands out free noodles to whoever needs them and is providing meals and groceries for his staff to make sure they have what they need right out of his own refrigerator at the restaurant. The businesses at Eat Street Crossing have given over 800 free meals away. There is something hopeful about all of this. We're showing up for our people even in crisis, and that's what small businesses do. We create care and mutual aid where systems fail us. And yet, our businesses are short-staffed, short-changed, and overextended. We're providing mutual aid at the expense of our own stability, our own families, our own paychecks, and our own futures. My co-founder and I stopped by a restaurant on our street and ended up filling to-go orders for them because more than 50% of his staff is gone, afraid to come to work for fear of being taken by ICE, even as U.S. citizens, even with work permits, even with the right paperwork. My friend Jason from Hikari Hand Rolls lost thousands when fresh bluefin tuna was delivered and sat outside for 2 days while his building remained closed as ICE invaded Nicollet. The cost of supplies continues to rise while he's lost 80% of revenue in the last month. Christian from El Sazon reminded me that this violence isn't new. It's been ongoing. ICE has been terrorizing our communities long before this moment, and El Sazon has had 2 restaurants remaining closed for up to 2 months because the staff cannot safely come to work. At the Coven, we've lost thousands in revenue because ICE continues to terrorize Nicollet, even as our community mourns Alex Preddy on the corner. Business owners are stepping up, providing mutual aid and protecting one another, and trying to stay open because our community really does need us. But let me be clear, many of these businesses don't have months. They have weeks. If they close, if these buildings sit empty, if this cultural corridor goes dark, it's not just bad for business. It's a devastating blow to the future of Minnesota. It means more people without work. It means more people without food and without community. It's disinvestment with lasting consequences. The reality is that these vibrant cultural corridors help the biggest businesses in Minnesota recruit diverse talent to this state. They bring business and people and dollars to their organizations, their billion-dollar organizations. We love to celebrate these cultural communities and corridors, but they do not survive without real investment. So I'm demanding, we are all demanding, Minnesota. Yes. We're asking decision makers at every level to follow our lead, to choose community, to choose stability, to choose to show up like we've been showing up for all of you. And to everyone listening, keep showing up, shop local, check in and spread the word, donate to your local neighborhood funds. Thank you.
My name is Lawrence Edison. I'm a manager of custom design. I'm also part of the leadership team of the Minority Small Business Network. Standing by my side is my brother, owner of Custom Design. We're located in Brooklyn Center. First and foremost, I want to thank God for blessing us with the opportunity to be in business for 5 years now. Recently, as we've all seen, ICE has evaded invaded Minnesota. Custom Design is built from the ground up. It is born out of community and it exists to serve the community. We are centered around the community. That's why this moment matters. Because I was taken aback by ICE intimidating people and violating Fourth Amendment rights. ICE has impacted business due to the fact that our customers are afraid to leave their homes. They're afraid to come to our place of business, to support us, to spend money, and this has been such an impact that is harmful for all of us in the community. Minnesota does not deserve this, and our community does not deserve this. Like so many business owners, we had to grind and work diligently to get where we are today. We started without starting resources, without a safety net, and sacrifice and struggle to get where we are today. Because of ICE, the activity we're seeing in our communities in Minnesota, people are afraid, once again, to come to our place of business. That is why we are excited to launch a week of support and action for small business owners across the state of Minnesota. This week is about showing solidarity and support for small businesses, lifting up one another in one voice and standing together as the small businesses that help drive Minnesota's economy. We deserve a week that is dedicated to our voices, to our safety, and real action for small businesses, owners in every community. So as I stand here, I just ask that ICE respect our rights. And if you can't, vacate Minnesota. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Leanne Rasajak, CEO of Women Venture. I want to thank again Jill, our client, and the team at Urban Growler for hosting us and being a place of community. We are a community development financial institution, and CDFIs represent small business and housing, and we're often the bridge between government, foundations, corporations, to supporting small businesses and housing organizations. Every American community depends on strong Main Street small businesses that employ neighbors, invest locally, and keep our local economies moving. And in Minnesota, we are seeing growing instability on our main streets, both in urban and rural communities. And it is not the result of market failure or poor business management. This instability is being driven by fear and enforcement, fear that keeps customers home, fear that keeps workers from showing up, and enforcement actions that disrupt entire business districts overnight. When fear enters the economy, even healthy businesses become fragile. We had clients coming into 2026 that were anticipating double-digit sales revenue growth with teams of 60 or more people. These are small businesses that contribute to our community. And today, they're keeping their employees at home, sheltering in place, helping to ensure that they're still receiving some form of pay to be fed and to house their families, while this business is losing $3,000 to $5,000 a day. Fear is not abstract. It shows up in very real ways. Empty storefronts and suddenly quiet business corridors, missed shifts, missed payroll, installed cash flow. Businesses that were able to be stable weeks ago are now seeking emergency capital just to survive. And when customers are afraid to leave their homes and workers are afraid to come to work, Main Street cannot function. This is why we are seeing increased demand for short-term lending, technical assistance, and crisis stabilization. CDFIs are economic first responders. We've lived through this before during COVID, in 2020 following the murder of George Floyd, and we're living through it again, and this time it's worse. Because there's no federal or government safety net to help us see us through. And as a reminder, we didn't ask for this. We were just emerging and coming out and thriving as a community. Not because these businesses failed, but because conditions changed rapidly on them. And fear moves faster than capital. And when it does, even strong businesses can be pushed to the brink. When fear, enforcement, or policy shifts, it destabilizes local economies. We're here to keep capital moving into Main Street. We believe that strong communities require strong Main Streets that require reliable, local, and informed capital that understands what businesses are facing on the ground. Women Venture is choosing to speak publicly about this in this moment because silence allows fear to fill the void. So let me say that again. Silence allows fear to fill the void. We have both the responsibility and credibility to name what is happening and to explain its economic consequences clearly. Speaking publicly is part of stabilizing the system, and it reassures business owners, informs the public, and reinforces that economic dignity and opportunity matter for everyone. And what happens in one neighborhood or one business district shapes all of us. And choosing to speak with clarity and courage right now is part of the work of our time. And I want to introduce my partner at the Minnesota CDFI Coalition, Carl Swanson, to talk about the economic impact that we're currently seeing and that we anticipate, because this is about not only rapid response, it's about recovery and restoration.
Good morning. Carl Swanson, the Coalition Strategist for the Minnesota CDFI Coalition. As Leanne mentioned, CDFIs are community development financial institutions. We're the organizations providing small business supports, affordable housing development, and capital to under-resourced, underbanked, and underfinanced communities. These are the communities that have been especially impacted by ICE's presence and Operation Metro Surge. Communities of color, immigrants, women, rural communities. There are over 30 CDFIs across the state, and as a coalition, we activate the collective superpowers of Minnesota CDFIs to achieve economic justice. CDFIs are partners to business at the startup stage, partners to banks and philanthropy to help grow opportunity and prosperity, and partners to government to connect communities to resources and training. We're often the first money in on an idea, the cheerleaders for small business as something is starting up, the cheerleaders for entrepreneurs building from the ground up, and we're often the partners to close gaps on financing deals. We come in when other banks say there's too much risk because we see the value in community and we see the importance of community. CDFIs are the economic first responders, and we're the folks who close the gaps to make things happen. The stories that people are telling you about their businesses suffering are personal to us, they are real to us and to these organizations. In 2025, Minnesota CDFIs had almost $700 million in loans across 2,400 projects across the state of Minnesota. $700 million of capital in small business and in affordable housing. That's enormous for Minnesota's economy, and it's critical support for small business startup. Right now, the stories that you're hearing about closure, the risk that we are measuring in days and weeks, not months or years, those risks are very real to the capital ecosystem that we cultivate in Minnesota that CDFIs hold in trust. Through the possibility of loan defaults, of mortgage defaults, of closures, we are looking at very real losses of tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars of this capital. This is something where there is not a safety net right now. There is not a government program that is coming in to support us like PPP or other loans that existed during COVID. We are relying on community in so many ways. We are relying on each other in so many ways because we are stronger together. And if we lose this kind of capital in Minnesota's ecosystem, we're fundamentally losing core tenets of the American dream. The ability to start your own business and to have your own livelihood from the ground up. The ability to own your own home and be safe in your home. These are critical issues for Main Street, for people's neighborhoods, and across the whole state of Minnesota. And we need to be really clear. This economic devastation is unasked for, unearned, and undeserved. No one asked for this to happen. We need to end Operation Metro Surge. We need ICE out of Minnesota. These enforcement activities are fundamentally anti-growth and anti-small business and against the American dream. We are calling on our partners in philanthropy, banking, corporate, and government to step up and support the entrepreneurs and do it now. Move at the speed of community, move at the speed of mutual aid, move at the speed of the trust that CDFIs hold so we can get critical capital out now to sustain and support our small business infrastructure. Yeah. And of course, we're asking consumers and communities to continue to step up and buy local. We will get through this together because we are neighbors, porque somos todos vecinos, because we are in this together. And we will have stronger local bonds and a stronger belief in the power of local economies by coming through this together. When we shop local today, we build a base for the future. When we continue to shop local in the future, we build a bright, prosperous future for Minnesota and all Minnesotan residents. Thank you.
Next, we have Russ Adams from Lake Street Council. We have, what's your name? Yusura from Lake Street Council? Yeah. From Lake Street Council.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Yusra Mahamood, business advisor with Lake Street Council. I'm going to talk a little bit from my heart about what Lake Street represents. Lake Street represents me. It represents mothers who wake up every day at 6 a.m. to get their kids ready for school. It represents fathers who rush to leave their work at 4 p.m. to pick their kids up from schools. It represents students who are excited about becoming the next business owner, becoming the next chef, or maybe even becoming the next president of the United States. It represents restaurants where we make tacos and not war. It represents many types of empanadas. In my culture, from the East African culture, we have our own version called the sambusas, which if you've been out in Minnesota lately, you might have tried some because we have been wanting to have everyone try this amazing delicacy. And it represents passion. It represents the lake of 10,000 lands. It represents so many different cultures that I tell those who don't have the capacity or the energy to travel far, they don't have to leave the state or the country to experience a different culture or meet new people. They can come to Lake Street and they will feel satisfied and fulfilled. And so with all of that being said, Lake Street, of course, has faced many challenges over the last few years. And if you've driven down Lake Street as of recently, I'm sure that, you've seen the storytelling on our murals, the culture, the art, showcasing what we have represented, but also the resilience of Lake Street as of lately. With ICE currently, as you've heard, it is impacting our economy very, very hard. Businesses on Lake Street are losing $30 million a month in our corridor. And that number maybe even went up as of recently. There are mothers who are on their way to drop off their children at daycare or at school, but never make it to work because they were abducted. There are employees who are getting ready to potentially, wrap up their day, and they're at the loading docks. They never get to leave work and go back home because they are abducted. Business owners are facing what they're supposed to just have a regular day-to-day operations of running a business, but now running operations quite literally to protect their employees and their family. And this is not okay. And this is something that we can't get used to, and we can't feel desensitized to, and we can't feel numb. And we are relying on each other as a community to come out and support these businesses. We are hearing that some businesses might not be open tomorrow or next week or in the next 2 weeks. And that will impact us not just as a corridor, but it will impact our neighboring cities all the way up to greater Minnesota, and it will spread from state to state. Because if one economy fails in a city or a state, all of our economy is going to fail in the United States of America. So I'm asking urgently to support the small businesses in our cultural corridors and to come out and to, as simply as supporting with your families and friends and reconsidering where your dollars go to. Especially in these next few months, it's going to be very, very hard. Some of the things that we are doing with Lake Street Council is we are doing some weekly cash mobs. And so if you follow us, you'll able to see what business that we're going to go and flood that week. But that's not just something that we want to create a campaign for. This is something that we need to do forever to help these businesses get back on their street. And partnering with our neighboring organizations to support these small businesses. And with next week, shopping local and shopping small businesses. These are initiatives that we need to take very seriously. A quick reminder also that in just 2 weeks, there is going to be a holiday, Ramadan, where a lot of immigrant-owned businesses rely on they already have reduced hours due to the fact that their businesses won't be operating because they are practicing their faith and trying to support their families and might open way later times. So how can we support these businesses who are already going to be economically impacted during this time? So if you've never had an iftar or a gathering with community members, I would suggest, reaching out to friends or colleagues that you know and breaking bread with them during Ramadan at different small businesses. And then again, just a continuous reminder to continue to do that every month. And please to come support Lake Street in our neighboring corridors and be out in community and to continue vocalizing ICE out.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today. I would like to just end this open for some questions while I pose some questions for Minnesotans that are listening. We transition into this new administration with a public commitment to share prosperity and a better economy. That has definitely not reached immigrant and refugee families. That has definitely not reached working families in Minnesota. And that has definitely not reached small businesses in Minnesota. So I ask the question, who is getting this prosperity on the backs of what's happening with Operation Surge? Who is really making wealth out of this crisis in Minnesota? That's just a question I want to put in the air for people who are listening. So we welcome some questions now.
Mr. Swanson mentioned the need for the lack of capital, the fact that capital is drying up, and that there is no PPP to step in. Do we need one? And how, if so, how likely is it that, are you expecting that the state is going to step up or someone is going to step up?
I mean, frankly, we can't expect it from the federal government because the federal government's enforcement actions is the cause of this economic crisis. But what we are seeing, what we are working on, is an all-hands-on-deck approach to both capital and also money moving into communities. So we've seen enormous amounts of mutual aid flow that has been the first responder to people, right? I live in the central neighborhood of Minneapolis. My little neighborhood group did almost $250,000 in rent relief for the month of February through mutual aid. We're seeing CDFIs already looking at what they can do for loan modifications to provide their clients with flexibility so they can sustain. We're talking to other organizations that have funds that are getting ready and getting out. LEDC, the Minneapolis Foundation. There are bigger funds that are coming online to provide the next step of support for small businesses and for individuals there. And we will be at the legislature talking to Minnesotan legislators and asking for relief both in terms of housing, rent support, and small business support. It absolutely is something that has to have tiers of approaches. This is going to come in waves, and we need to keep on working on the next thing that comes up. But absolutely, it's an all-hands-on-deck approach.
Do you have a dollar amount at the legislature?
Not yet. We're early in there, and it's going to be a legislative session with a lot of priorities. But we cannot lose sight of the fact that small businesses are the economic driver for most Minnesotans, and so legislators need to step up and recognize that and find the dollars to get back into community, especially because those dollars that are spent in community will come back to the state in forms of taxes and in forms of local spending. So this is not relief, this is not money that disappears into the ether. This is money that will come back into community and continue to support the state. Oh, me? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, sure.
When you look at the numbers, how does this compare to what we saw financially during COVID?
I think an apples to oranges conversation. COVID was more widespread and across the whole country. But we are talking, and any restaurant, any small business that relies on foot traffic, that relies on people coming in, will tell you that what is happening in Minnesota right now is as bad, if not worse, than COVID. And so we are looking, like I said, people are looking at longevity in days and weeks, which is the same kind of situation that we were facing in COVID. And so dollar amounts are going to be similar in that range. I'll just say, like I said, CDFIs have $700 million in loans. If we start seeing a 20% default rate on that across housing and across small businesses, that's $140 million of capital that's just going to disappear from the Minnesota economy and ecosystem, and that is an enormous hit. And so that's the kind of scale of relief that we're going to be looking for, not necessarily from a single source. Like I said, there's not going to be a single source that provides this, but cumulatively across individuals, small business, it's going to be in the hundreds of millions of dollars.
If the feds choose to end Operation Venture Surge and they send 2,000 federal agents home, is it an instant recovery in some ways, or what is the long-term impact even after Operation Venture Surge ends?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I would love to have some of our small business partners answer that question, but I can just say that what we have experienced, there are direct harms of people who have been taken away from us. Their trust has been broken about, will I be taken away, even if ICE leaves right away. This is not, we get to flip a switch and everything suddenly goes back to normal. Lives have been literally lost. Lives have been taken away. Livelihoods have already been taken away. There is a ramp back to building the economy back, and trust that needs to be rebuilt in that. And it would be much better if it started sooner rather than later with ICE leaving and us being able to get back into recovery versus constant relief and constant bridging of the immediate needs. But I'll turn it over to any small business partners who want to speak to that.
I'll just say from a perspective of a small business owner, like rent is due, back pay is due. So even if they left 5 minutes ago, we would still have deficits, we would still have debt. A lot of the restaurant owners out there are begging like their vendors to give them relief, and that just hasn't come yet. So not only will they need to catch up, but then they'll have to keep going every single day, paying their people. Maybe their people aren't even going to show up because there's definitely like psychological damage that has happened in the last couple of months. This has been going on for a long time. I mentioned Christian from El Sazon. He's had to close for 2 months, right? It's been closed since December in one of his spaces. So these are things that are long lasting. The margins on business ownership are small. And so, even businesses that maybe were struggling before all of this, they've got a lot of catching up to do. So this isn't just about making everybody whole, but about setting them up for success long term so that they can continue to operate their businesses.
We have time for maybe one or two more questions.
You all are small business owners. There was a statement sent out by the larger businesses in the state right now, the Fortune 500s and some Fortune 100 companies. Would anyone care to respond to what that message was? And if, I don't know, maybe you want different statements made by...
Go ahead.
So I'm Russ Adams. I'm with the Lake Street Council. You heard from Yusra from us earlier. We've been talking to some of those businesses, those corporate partners, downtown interests and all that, and our message to them is do whatever you can. If you can make a statement, make a statement. If you can work back channels and talk to people in power all the way up to Washington, D.C., then do that. I think the story in Minnesota is how we've all come together to support ourselves. So we're not going to recover, to answer your earlier question, we're not going to recover in March, even if 2,000 ICE agents leave tomorrow. You don't come back from that. In Lake Street alone, December through January, Our projection is we've lost $46 million in monthly revenue in those 2 months. The city of Minneapolis projects every week $10 to $20 million losses of businesses in Minneapolis alone. You don't come back from that in a month or two. The good news is all the mutual aid you see that you've heard about and all the businesses stepping up are taking immediate action. All the nonprofits, the faith-based communities, the schools, they are taking care of business now, and they will do that once ICE leaves. The state legislators need to step up, and they need to play their part. But I guarantee you, if they get us any money, it's going to not be in July that we're able to use it. Because if they pass a program, then they're going to have to write the rules and figure out how to distribute money. It typically takes deeds 6 months to start a new program. How do you fill that gap? And the way you fill that gap is with philanthropy. Thank you, Minneapolis Foundation. Corporate partners can help fill that gap. There are existing programs like the Promise Act that can help fill that gap, and cities and counties. And so we are a long way away from recovering, even if ICE left tomorrow.
I also should say, large businesses. Well, I want you to quote these incredible people who are doing the work. Minneapolis. Okay. But will you use the clips from the people doing the work? Okay, good. This is actually a media hog saying, talk to someone else. Okay, the Minneapolis Foundation has partnered with large businesses, has already raised $4 million. That will be out on the street in the next couple of weeks through the CDFIs. So many of those things that you heard about are coming through the funding that we're putting out there, along with what the foundation normally does to support these incredibly important CDFIs. In addition to that, we're working with the Salt Cure Fund, which is a fund that's more broad-based, that'll again be going to restaurants. We also are sending the message that was just made well, which is that the federal government, unlike with the PPP loans, is not going to help us on this, and the state government is in a different position. So unlike after George Floyd's murder, when we at the foundation partnered with the state and other funders to put $50 million out to rebuild, we won't have a lot of those. So the $4 million that we have in hand, we're getting out quickly. We're going to continue to raise those dollars, but the single most important thing that anybody can do right now is to shop and eat. One person made a hideous decision that's affecting scores of lives. And right now, the only really strong way we can push back is for everybody to get off of the couch, spend some money with these great entrepreneurs, and make sure that one more piece of collateral damage from ICE isn't losing some of these great businesses.
Thank you. While the leaders at the top are making the decisions and calling in on the policy folks and creating letters, I also have a message for the people in the middle. So we're home to many Fortune 1000 and 500 organizations, right, in Minnesota, and meeting with people who are in the middle, and a lot of them are going about their day kind of business as usual. You do also have economic power to help to move dollars into our community. So it's Black History Month. Next month, it's going to be Women's History Month. I know your employee resource groups are gathering. I know you're hosting events. Support these businesses. Support the local food halls and event spaces that need it right here in our community. CEOs, give your employees $100 to go spend at a restaurant in our local communities to not only support the local businesses, but also to gather. Because right now, we need one another, right? And being out in community and breaking bread often is the best path and the best healing that we all need as a part of addressing this crisis. That's what we need more from people who are brave and courageous, and it's both in small movements and large ones as well. And this is, to the point made earlier, it is a relay. This is not a marathon, right? So we're tapping in to all of our communities. The way that we're moving mutual aid behind the scenes and underground, we need to lift that up. That work needs to happen above ground. The other piece is, and I'm talking on behalf of nonprofits and CDFI organizations across the state, y'all know us. Y'all have trust in us. We've proven the work. We've done the reporting. We share the stories. We meet the deadlines, right? So my ask is lift the restrictions. Enable us to move the funds to our small businesses for housing in the way that we have demonstrated trust for decades. That's the level of flexibility and care that we need, because this is not business as usual. This is not 2020. This is something entirely different. So we need to pull some new tools in out of creating our toolkit, right, to be able to activate, meet the moment, and ensure that we preserve this beautiful community and resilient community that we have in Minnesota.
Thank you so much. I will add that some of the underwriters of the letter also benefit tremendously from the labor of immigrant communities, overly represented in the agricultural milk producing sector. So there's a responsibility that the largest grocer in Minnesota, that is Target, has right now in leading forward Fourth Amendment values and the support and partnership with small businesses. The same with Llano Lakes, the same with Cargill. These are corporations that have built incredible amount of wealth on the back of immigrant workers, and they have remained neutral. We are inviting them to the light, we're inviting them to the right side of history, and we're inviting them to procure this partnership, putting their values forward. So without no more questions, thank you so much for being here.
I'll send an updated list, of course, with if you are not on my media list, let me know and I can add your email to it. Otherwise, if you want to take a picture, I did also just write down the additional names as well. Both faces and names. Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Be well.
Yeah, you too. Take care of yourself.